There is a moment that happens to millions of people every single month. It usually arrives early in the morning. A phone vibrates quietly on a bedside table. A notification appears on the screen. Salary credited. For a brief moment, something inside the mind relaxes. Relief. After weeks of working, commuting, solving problems, attending meetings, and handling daily responsibilities, the reward finally arrives. The bank balance suddenly looks healthy again. For a short time, it feels like everything is under control. But then something strange begins to happen. Within days, sometimes even hours, the balance begins to shrink. Bills appear. Subscriptions renew. Food orders happen. Shopping feels easier. Small expenses quietly accumulate. And before the next salary arrives, the account often returns to the same uncomfortable place. Almost empty. This cycle repeats month after month. People work hard. They earn money. But somehow the money disappears faster than expected. And the question slowly begins to form. Why does this keep happening? To understand this pattern, imagine a young professional named Ercan. Ercan works long hours in a busy office. He is responsible, intelligent, and ambitious. His salary is not extremely high, but it is enough to live comfortably. At least in theory. On salary day, Ercan opens his banking application and smiles. This month will be different, he tells himself. But by the middle of the month, he notices the same pattern again. Money feels tight. One evening, he sits quietly in his apartment and begins thinking. I work hard, I earn money, so why does it always feel like I am starting from zero again? Ercan is not alone. This experience is extremely common, and the reason is rarely a single big mistake. It is usually a collection of small habits that slowly drain financial stability. One of the most common reasons people stay broke after salary day is emotional spending. After working for weeks, the mind feels a strong desire for reward. The salary does not only represent income. It represents relief. The brain begins whispering ideas. You deserve something nice. You worked hard. It is just a small purchase. At first, these purchases feel harmless. A meal at a restaurant. New clothes. A gadget. A weekend outing. None of these expenses look dangerous individually. But together they create a pattern. Spending becomes a way to release stress. Money becomes connected to emotional comfort. The danger of emotional spending is not the amount. It is the habit. When money becomes the primary way to feel better after a difficult week, expenses grow quietly. Another reason the cycle continues is the illusion of a large number. On salary day, the bank balance appears bigger than usual. This sudden increase creates a psychological effect. The mind temporarily feels wealthy. Because of that feeling, spending decisions become more relaxed. A person may normally hesitate before buying something expensive. But after salary arrives, that hesitation becomes weaker. The mind thinks, I can afford this. What the mind forgets is that the number in the bank account does not represent free spending money. It represents future responsibilities. Rent, groceries, transportation, utilities, unexpected costs. The salary must survive an entire month. But when someone sees the full amount at once, it is easy to forget how many days still remain before the next payment. Another silent reason many people stay broke after salary day is invisible spending. These are expenses that feel too small to worry about. Coffee, snacks, online subscriptions, transportation apps, digital purchases. Each one feels minor. But minor expenses repeated daily create powerful financial impact. Imagine spending a small amount every day without noticing. After 30 days, that amount becomes significant. But because each individual expense feels small, the mind ignores the pattern. Money rarely disappears through one dramatic event. It disappears through quiet repetition. There is also another important factor: lack of intentional planning. Many people begin the month without a clear idea of where their money will go. Instead of assigning each portion of income a purpose, they allow spending to happen spontaneously. When spending decisions happen randomly, money tends to follow impulses rather than priorities. Imagine beginning the month by deciding that part of your salary will support your future. Savings, investments, education. But when there is no plan, these priorities often receive whatever money remains at the end. And unfortunately, there is often very little remaining. Arjun began noticing this pattern when he looked carefully at his bank statement. He expected to see large, expensive purchases. Instead, he saw something surprising: many small transactions. Food delivery, online subscriptions he barely remembered signing up for. Quick purchases that felt harmless at the time. He realized something important. The problem was not his income. The problem was his awareness. Money had been leaving his account quietly while he focused on daily life. There is another psychological pattern that influences spending: social comparison. In modern life, people constantly see images of how others live. Vacations, new cars, luxury items, celebrations. Social media often shows a version of reality where everyone appears to be living comfortably. This can create subtle pressure. A person may begin thinking, if everyone else can afford this, maybe I should too. But what we see is rarely the full financial story. Some people spend beyond their means. Some rely on debt. Others have completely different income levels. Comparing lifestyles without understanding the financial background can lead to dangerous decisions. Another reason people stay broke after salary day is the absence of a buffer. A buffer is simply money that exists for emergencies or unexpected expenses. Without this safety layer, every surprise becomes a crisis. A medical bill, a repair, an urgent travel need. When these situations appear, people are forced to use the money intended for other purposes. This creates a chain reaction. Savings disappear. Bills become harder to manage. Stress increases, and the next salary begins under pressure. But there is good news hidden inside this pattern. The cycle can be broken, not through extreme restrictions, not through complicated financial systems, but through a few powerful changes in how money is handled. One of the most effective shifts is learning to pay yourself first. Most people treat savings as something optional. They spend on everything else and then hope money remains. Instead, imagine treating savings as the first bill you pay every month. Before any other expense, a portion of income moves into savings. Even a small percentage creates a powerful habit, because now saving is not dependent on leftover money. It becomes automatic. Another powerful shift is awareness. When people track their spending honestly for 1 month, they often discover patterns they never noticed before. Seeing the numbers clearly can change behavior naturally. Instead of asking, "Where did my money go?" the question becomes, "Where do I want my money to go?" That question creates control. Money stops drifting randomly and begins moving toward intentional goals. There is also something deeply emotional about money. For many people, financial stress creates shame. They feel embarrassed about their habits. But improvement rarely begins with shame. It begins with understanding. Everyone learns about money through experience. Mistakes are part of that process. The important step is reflection. Arjun eventually made a simple decision. Instead of hoping the next month would be different, he created a small system. The day his salary arrived, a portion moved immediately into savings. Another portion covered essential bills. The remaining amount became his spending budget. At first, the system felt restrictive. But after a few months, something surprising happened. He felt calmer, because now the money had direction. The same salary that once disappeared quickly began lasting longer. Slowly, his savings account started growing. Not dramatically, but steadily. And that steady growth created something more valuable than money. Confidence. Confidence that he was moving forward instead of repeating the same cycle. The truth is that staying broke after salary day rarely happens because people are careless. It happens because no one teaches them how small habits influence financial outcomes. Once those habits become visible, change becomes possible. The next time salary day arrives, the question does not need to be, how long will this money last? Instead, it can be something more empowering. How will this money support my future? That shift transforms the entire relationship with income. Because financial stability is not created in a single month. It is built slowly through awareness, planning, and consistent choices. And once someone begins that journey, salary day stops feeling like temporary relief. It becomes the beginning of progress,